Alrighty, traders, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome to the AAA session. We actually started on time, but it looks like the broadcast never going through, so we just went ahead and did a restart. Hey guys, hopefully everyone's having a fantastic week so far. I know it's just Monday, but it's always good to have a good start to the week. We've got a lot of things to talk about. I've got my panel right now with me today, Chris and Tyson. We're going to be talking about a few things. I know that the fundamentals right now, there's not a whole bunch on the table for this week, but there's definitely some movement in the market at the moment right now. Chris is going to be covering the Swiss pairs and specifically the Euro Swiss because it's starting to move already. He's already got some deep conversation about those moves. And we've got Tyson talking about the Aussie crosses as well. I've got pairs that I want to focus in based on last week's setups, based on divergence. So we've got a lot of conversation to chat about, and we're going to go ahead and get started right now. So let me introduce to you the panel for today, which again, it is going to be my good friends Chris and Tyson. So Chris, good day, and how are you doing, my friend? Your mic is muted, Chris.
Social distancing, social muting. Hey, Gary.
There you go. Much better. All right.
AAA session. Good to be back. Happy Monday. And we got a lot of things moving very quickly in trades we talked about last week. Stocks we talked about the last month or so. Tyson's going to jump on here in a second. So I would definitely say take some notes and get ready to have an active week, whether you're in stocks, whether you're in Forex, whether you're in cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of stuff happening right now, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyson, how you doing? And I know you want to chat quickly on some stocks that you've got your eye on as well, but you're also going to be covering some Aussie crosses today as well. How's it going with you?
It's going good. Markets are moving. In fact, Chris is going to be showing a trade that's just moving like a banshee right now. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But anybody who's been paying attention, hopefully you've been doing really well. We've been getting a lot of good movement in the markets. People should be making money right now. I've actually done really well, but I've limited my upside. I'm kind of kicking myself. But some of these stocks we've been talking about, Gary, with the Capital Ones, the Regency Centers, the Cores, all those, they've been making a lot of money. And I know Chris put a limit order in on one of the trades that we talked about 2 weeks ago. And First Horizon National Bank at $7. It was trading at like $8.50 when we were talking about it. And I didn't think it was going to come down to 7 that quick, but it went down almost directly to $7, and the thing is now up almost 20% in about a week. So a lot of money being made, guys. Let's pay attention, as Chris said. Take a lot of notes and ask questions.
Here are the list of stocks that we're going to go ahead and chat quickly on, and I know you're going to go ahead and share some insight on that. But before we get to the stocks, I have to talk about Matt Wolf. We spoke about the golf this weekend. It was fantastic to see some golf this weekend, Chris. And Matt Wolf, what an unbelievable drive he hit. Both those holes that they would have had the longest drive on. 356 yards. That's incredible, right? I mean, do you get that distance?
356 for hole number 2, and then he cranked it up on hole 14 for like 363 or 368. Yes. I mean, it was insane. And the best part was they were dead straight. Like there was little movement, and you could see that Rory stepped back and stepped into one, and so did DJ, but they were offline, and there was didn't matter. Like if you hit it off the fairway, it still counted, but Wolf hit it dead straight down the middle and hit it farther than everybody. So call it unorthodox, but the guy he's a disruptor. You can't teach that golf swing. You can't teach that power. It's pretty exciting to watch. And he's 21 years old. He's got his first tour win in 3 starts. So he'll be fun to watch. I mean, at the very least.
You're a professional coach, right? On the PGA, and or at least you were. You don't do that anymore. But the swing that he has, that sort of like little tilt that he does. Apparently, it was a drill that he had implemented into his swing, and then he just said, "Well, you know what? I'm just going to make that part of my routine." Now it's like that drill is part of his routine.
Yeah, that preset, that forward press, like he was too close at impact, and so his coach George Genghis was having him open up more and do a preset impact. So that was the pre-shot routine that worked into a swing. But talk about his left foot's totally off the ground, his club goes straight up in the air, and then it shallows and he drops it, loops it. So. I know we were talking earlier. It's like equated to like a hammer throw. That momentum you get from swinging, like that when the club is swinging around, like you're developing that longer area for the club to travel, that natural flow and and like whip through the golf ball. Plus he's jumping off the ground. I mean, hey, he's 21 years old, so I say he's got a good 7, 8, 9 years of that swing before it's like maybe his back's going to start killing him, or maybe he's going to have some problems. But I mean, hey,
no doubt.
Give the kid some credit. It's amazing to watch, and it was an exciting day to watch some live golf yesterday.
No doubt. Well, guys, let's go get into the meat and potatoes of what's happening today. And Tyson, let's get a quick update on those stocks that you spoke about, and then we'll jump into some currencies. Today.
Yeah. So if you pull that list up, I love everything on this list. We talked about this list. I think it's been about a month and a half now since we originally talked about this list. All of these stocks are up big, and we called out some key levels on the downside. Some of them that are underperforming, like TAP, is Coors Beer. I love it. I actually still love it at this level. Now, however, there's some of these on this list. I don't necessarily want to buy them at this price. I think we're overdone a little bit on the upside. So I'm willing to, as I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, I'm willing to give up some upside to protect my downside. So what I've been doing is I've been doing what's called a cash secured put, or selling puts, or if I own the stock, I've been selling at the money calls or in the money calls to collect some premium and wait for that price to come down a little bit. But if it doesn't come down, at least I make some money. So that's been good. The only one stock that I'm a little concerned with, I think it's a phenomenal long-term investment, like 3 to 5 years. A little concerned with the current price is Delta. The reason why is I believe Delta is going to be one of the shining stars that comes out of this, is going to be the airline that survives. Not the only one, but one of the few that survive. It's going to have a big consolidation. The industry is going to have some consolidation, and whoever does survive is going to prosper a lot. However, a lot's going to change in the next 6 months, next year. We don't know what air travel is going to look like. It's going to be around. We're going to have to do it, but what's it going to look like, and how are they going to make money? How are they going to make sure that they're profitable? So it'll be interesting. I do love it long term. Again, I think it's a phenomenal 3 to 5 year trade. However, I could see us coming down a little bit lower. I think dabbling at these areas or in these areas is good. If I wanted to be really conservative, I just put a buy at 18 and say, hey, if we get to 18, I want to buy there again if we get down there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Fantastic. Well, then that's a quick update on the stocks. Let's jump into some currency pairs, and I'm specifically interested in to hear a little bit about the Euro Swiss franc. So, Chris, you've got Swissies that you're looking at. Let's jump into some currency pairs that you've got your eye on this week that traders can take advantage of.
Yeah, I think my memo for the week is weaker Swiss franc. So I am long Euro Swiss. I'm long Cad Swiss. I would be scalping Aussie Swiss long, New Zealand Swiss long. But my favorites right now is Euro Swiss, because that's been talked about. We specifically spent time on it last week in this session, this Ask an Analyst session. In my trading room, we have been patiently, and I want to stress, patiently waiting. Where, look, we have a bar count that I'm looking at high probabilities of based on my right trader reversion strategy. We have divergence at lows. We have this falling wedge. We have a bottoming formation. We have channel support. We have all of these technical reasons for the Euro Swiss to go up. We just couldn't see a break in them. Every day that I look at the currency strength chart, we see the Euro and the Swiss at the same strength level. Whether it's weak for the day, strong for the day, that pair was going next to nowhere. Gary, if you bring up that chart, you can see today's candle. And again, I still want to close, right? Let's get this market to give us some run. Let it stay there around 106 and change, 106.30. If today's candle closes bullish like this, we're looking at one of the strongest bullish candles in over 2 months. So I love the close above 106. This would allow me on the daily chart to see some bullishness on my right trader system. From there, I'm deploying long and only long on like a 15 or a 5-minute chart. Buy it, add some additional trades to it. Keep the stop loss nice and safe out of the way. Give it a cushion. But I'd say aggressively, we want to take this up into 10800. So currently it's trading around 106.40. And again, I know we're talking about 160 pips, but I've also been in at 106 and 105.75 and 105.50 and 105.25, and I bought it. So I'm sitting in a nice little base position around 105 and 10600. So getting this to 108, I'm just taking a big chunk of profit. So that's my first big safety profit at 108. And from there, I'll assess whether or not we're making a run to 10800, and then we pull back, and then we have another wave higher into like 110. So that's what we talked about last week in this session. Gary, I know you have channel levels around 108, 108 to 109, nice channel resistance. If we break through that, I'm really excited about a potential yearly pivot at 110.45. So to me, it's all upside this week on Euro Swiss. It's all upside on Cad Swiss. Talking about Yep, just like that. So that wave pattern looked perfect on the Euro Swiss. And if I were to, so this is one of my go-to trades for this week, and I've been, just now it's trying to get in. Like, I'm already in. How do I add to it? I want bigger profits now. I want to build up my position. I've got the probability to see if this thing can close nice and bullish today. And from there, we add to it and target 108. Now, Cad Swiss, oil, if we look at U.S. oil.
Hey, before you move on to the Cad Swiss,
go ahead.
Can I say I want a couple questions on this? And I think a lot of people out there kind of. So I love this. I think that pivot's going to be hit. I love the 110 level long term. However, this thing's off to the races. It's up huge, especially for a fairly lower volatility currency pair. So this is where my conservative nature, I can come back and kick myself. However, it's you never go broke taking profits, right? So I just took profits in the Euro Swiss right before this session started. So I actually ended up giving up some upside. But what I like is if you look at a 1 hour time frame, I actually like saying, hey, you know what? I want to get back in. If we can come back down to 105.75 or 105.40, those are the levels that I don't know if we're going to get down there, by the way. That's the risk. I don't know if we're going to get down there, but I'm going to take profits now. I'm going to try to get back in 50 pips, 100 pips better. If I can, awesome. If I don't, I've got to live with potentially missing out on the move if this thing doesn't slow down. What do you think of that, Chris?
Look, I mean, that is totally logical. I think what we're noticing right now is this currency pair is not moving logically. But I think that having this run, what I would do is, Gary, if you want to drag a fib on there from the low to the high, again, trade size is going to be the most important part here. So looking at something like a 38% pullback, even the 23%, which is super shallow, but a 23 to 38% pullback, those would be the smallest trade sizes simply because that's the shallow levels. Like, we want better prices. Like Tyson said, buy it at 105.75, buy it at 105.50. Great. But I'd still be willing to test with a smaller trade size, those higher fibs and shallow fib pullbacks, just because we're clearly seeing something. Like, I mean, the 1 hour chart is nuts. The daily chart's the biggest daily bullish candle we've seen in 2 months. So there's something happening behind the scenes that's really causing this pair to rocket and see the Swiss be very, much weaker than the euro. So I think if we trade it small and conservative on those shallow pullbacks, and then you get the entries you want, like Tyson was saying, 105.75, 105.50, then you start setting up that typical logical swing trade. So I think you're right on there, Tyson, as far as wanting to get in and wanting a good price. But Gary's got, right trader system up on a smaller time frame. I think over the next, 12 hours of trading as we head into tomorrow's London session, if you look at that on a 15-minute chart, don't be surprised to see it find those ribbons on right trader and use that as support. And we're just going to have dynamic support, and this pair just keeps going. I think there's an explosive move. In fact, right now on my daily chart for Euro Swiss, I'm essentially looking at this particular price. Let me find it right here. It is 107.65. So that's conservative. I said 108.00, but if I were to put my safest profit level for this week, it'd be like 107.50. So I don't know if there's going to be much of a pullback until we hit that point. And, and what I can talk about, probably say it next week, or I'll talk about it this week in my trading room. Why do I have 107.50? Why do I have 108.00? And like I said, it has something to do with right trader, but there's a reason why we are confidently able to look at these highs and lows and these extremes where we just start waiting. Like, I'm waiting for a bottom to form, I'm waiting for a top to form, and then we're ready to participate. And so the good thing is we're in this. We've been patient for months on this trade. But man, it's probably going to pay off really quickly, and hopefully this week it hits at least that destination we want around 107.50 to 108.00.
Absolutely. And Chris, on your point, right? On your point regarding trading rooms. By the way, traders, if you're not one of the subscribers to the trading rooms, be that subscriber, because you want to be involved in things like what Tyson and Chris are talking about. You want to be in the trading room so that you can pick up some more information as we go through the week. We're going to be talking about the market, giving you an overview this week, but you want to get into the trading rooms to be able to take advantage of those moves. And just like Tyson said, hey, today I'm looking to take profit, tomorrow I'm getting back in again. It's that type of trading plan that you want to be part of as you go into the trading rooms and pick up the information that you need in order to take action. And how do you get into that? For those that don't know, it's a very simple process. Check this out. If you go to smarttrader.com, here in the top right-hand side, you'll see it's got a little icon there and it says trading room. If you click on that, you're going to be able to access the trading rooms. And if you're not a subscriber, it's going to give you the option to actually go ahead and subscribe. In fact, you can go to the marketplace here on the home page, and let me go to the home page here and just quickly go ahead and give you guys a head up. Here under the marketplace right here, if you click onto that, you'll be able to look for trading rooms. You right down here, you'll see there it is, trading rooms right here. You click onto trading rooms under the categories, and if you click into trading rooms, you can get access to all the trading rooms. You see Flex trading room, hybrid trading room, which is mine. Chris is the Flex trading room. Money flow trading room, that is Tyson's. Get into the trading rooms. You got the Chief, FX Chief, Fibs and Formation trading room. Get into them. You want to make sure that you guys get into that. So I want to make sure that everyone got that information up front, because when we talk about these trading rooms, some of you might be saying, well, I don't know how to get access. I don't know how to get involved in Chris, Tyson's, and my trading rooms. How do we do that? You can do it just like I just showed you. Go to Smart Trader, check it out on the top right. There's an icon, trading rooms. Click on that. You'll be able to get access. If you haven't subscribed already, you can go ahead and subscribe through the marketplace on Smart Trader. So sorry, Chris, for jumping in there. Anything else you want to go ahead to? What other pairs on the Euro cross you want to go ahead and cover? Sorry, Swiss crosses.
Yeah, so that Euro Swiss is great. I think we've covered that. For the sake of this session, we've covered it pretty thoroughly. Plus, we mentioned it a lot last week on the details of it. Yes. As I mentioned in the comments there, Denise jumped in, talked about Right Trader, and I agree. I mean, I think the 1 minute, the 5 minute look great to find a way to participate. Just give the stop loss some wiggle room, give us some flexibility, keep the stop loss below the swing, and look to see, as Tyson's looking for, ways to participate. I think we run to hopefully 108 this week, 107.50, and we enjoy some of that profit. The other trade for me is the Cad Swiss, and it's the same thing. Like, this has been a trade waiting patiently. We've got oil, we've got Swiss franc weakness finally. We've got a nice sustained run. I'm looking at anything back towards 7,100. So if we bring up the Cad Swiss, Gary, we can show the traders.
Yep.
The Cad Swiss looks great. It's a bullish mover coming back up towards 7,000. I would like to see a daily close above that 7,000, but my profit level is 7,140. 7,140. So I'm gonna remain bullish on the Cad Swiss until 7,100. It's kind of my minimum profit level, and 7,140 is where I'm going to start taking some profit. So these are positions that I built up from roughly 69 to 68 to 67 to 66 and change. And I've just been sitting on it. So I've got some profits that are in right now, but I'm looking for my destination is 71 to 71.40. Again, heavily talked about it in the trading room. We've been in the trade since the March drop. And I'm looking at some efficiencies and pockets to get filled. So I like this trade. I think if we keep the flavor this week with Swiss weakness and commodities doing well with oil recovery and gold and silver being firm, the dollar getting weaker, I think the CAD and all those commodity-based pairs like the Aussie, New Zealand, the CAD will do very well against the dollar this week. And hopefully this CAD Swiss is a nice clean run towards 7,100. So, yep. And again, that's a safe level, Gary. Like 7,100 safe level for profit. Could we go higher? Do I want it to go higher? Of course. I'd love this thing to go much higher. But for me, hitting 71 to 71.40, that'll be a nice chunk of profit.
And I can understand why you looked for those levels, because I just pointed out as you were speaking, I pointed out that low, significant low there. That's becoming out a major resistance for the market. And if it does go through that, then great, we'll continue to trade it higher. And if it trades towards that, then it's going to hit resistance. We may get price rejecting off that level just temporarily as it comes back again, retests and breaks through again. So I can see the logic behind holding profits at that level. All right, fantastic. Great stuff, man. A lot of information there, Chris. Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, let's jump into something I've been focusing in on. And actually, I've got it listed over here. We've got a whole bunch of currency pairs, specifically the pounds that we spoke about last week. We didn't get the moves that we were expecting last week, but this week, we've already started to see some market movement. And the Euro New Zealand dollar was one of those that we looked at as well. It's not a pound cross, but the Euro New Zealand dollar also took place, and it's all based on the divergence. Take a look and see what's going on right here on the chart. I'm going to jump into the first one. This is the Euro New Zealand dollar right here. I'm going to jump into that chart first and just give you a quick look at that. So here's the daily time frame. We broke through the resistance right here, and it looks like the markets are looking to continue to rally. But then we have that divergence set up on the lower time frame, the 4 hour. Now the question here is, and this is I'm going to answer this question here, is you see the divergence here? We got price moving higher. We got oscillator moving lower. Great opportunity for traders that jumped in over here and made some money to the downside. I certainly jumped in this on this and made some good money on the Euro New Zealand dollar, selling it off last night. Now, the question here is the Euro New Zealand dollar going to continue to dip south, or are we going to see this rally? I always got to go to the larger time frame to establish that. And if I go to the larger time frame, you can see here that we are in this upward swing. I do see price coming to, well, these price did come back to try and test the top of the channel. And so I'm looking for price to come back down. Now, the problem here is that we need to pay attention to is these support levels that were previous resistance. And they are where price is bouncing off. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, hey, if this is a breakout of this channel line right here, this is a breakout, then this may just be a test, and we could see some short-term movement back up here to the top of the channel up here at the top. The 4 hours just closed out with an indecision candle right there at that level. Check this out on the 4 hour right here. We've got this big long wick here over here, indecision right here at that resistance. So we could possibly back up. Now, the good thing is, traders that took advantage of the movie yesterday, anytime you see some sort of divergence, don't always see it as a long-term outlook. When you see the divergence, get in straight away. Don't wait for the market to make its move and then try to get back in the bounce, because that move that you saw, that setup that you saw initially may just be the only opportunity, specifically if you're not understanding the bigger picture. Because if you don't understand the bigger picture, you'll see this as a long-term move, but what it is just a short-term move to support, and then it's going to go ahead and start trending with the trend that is currently in. So that was one of the movers. Now, I know that's come and gone, so let's move past that, and let's take a look at some of the other pairs that I focused on right here quickly. And it is the pound. We spoke about pound New Zealand. We spoke about pound CAD, and I think pound CAD is the one that hasn't broken out yet. Let's just take a quick look at that. And then the other one was pound Swiss franc, and I think that's maybe moved already. But let me see here. Okay, so this one hasn't broken out. Take a look. This is the 4 hour time frame. This is pound CAD. Now, I know U.S. oil it's already hit $32 a barrel. So we've broken above that $26 a barrel already. And we've seen the market starting to set up with a bit of divergence here. All right, price is moving lower. All right, and we're certainly looking for a rally in pound CAD. All right, now with U.S. oil getting stronger, you would think that pound CAD would be a lot weaker than it is right now, but it's not. So which means that price is likely to, I think the market's already priced it in to the pound CAD, and so now we could start seeing some sort of rally in the pound if U.S. oil starts settling down and starts correcting itself. So I'm looking for a big rally in the pound CAD. Now that's one pair, pound CAD rally for this week, buying on pound CAD. The other pair that I said that we want to look at is the pound JPY. I don't know if that's moved yet. Let's take a look at pound JPY. Pound JPY has started moving right here. Yeah, you can see beautiful divergence. This one actually, in fact, I had my EA, by the way, Chris. I had the EA set to go ahead and trade it long, but I still had it on Friday's dates. I failed to go ahead and change it to Monday morning trading, and so I missed out because I didn't update my EA. I missed out this rally right here, and it is what it is. But we had a nice little rally over here. Traders picked up some good pips on the move going along with the 1 minute time frame. We trade these divergence setups for the 1 minute time frame, and that's the move that we had in the morning. Boom, gone. So that was a good move right there we had. In fact, if you looked at the top right here, since we had the breakout, it was 161 pips to the upside. So good profits was generated on the pound JPY. Let me see if the other pair, the pound Swiss, this will be the last one, and I'm going to pass it on to Tyson to take a look at the Aussie crosses right here. So this is the pound Swiss right here. Let's go to the 4 hour, and that was the divergence that we spoke about on the pound Swiss last week as well. That's finally gone ahead and broken. Check that out. Big, nice indecision right here, and a big move to the upside. And this has moved since the close of that candle. We've moved about 148 pips. Now, if Chris is right about what he's saying, I think it's going to be a Swiss weakness across the board, not just on the Euro Swiss. Then that means that pound Swiss still has some push to the upside. How do we know that? Well, we're going to go to the daily time frame right here and check out the daily. The daily at the moment right now is already showing that this is a correction move. And if we close out with any sort of bullish candlestick formation, whether it's a piercing line, bullish engulfing, morning star, it's going to indicate that the support is holding. And look at the upside opportunity here. We've got a lot of upside movement right here that could still occur on the pound Swiss. In fact, if you look here, we're chasing after about 1,500 pips to the upside because we are range bound on this particular pair. And if we're range bound on the pair, the ideal trading strategy is buy at the support of the range to the top of the range and then sell at the top of the range to the bottom of the range. And so right now, being at the bottom of the range gives us big opportunities, whether you're an intraday trader looking for short-term opportunities, whether you're a swing trader taking on mid-term positions, you can trade the bottom to the top and make good profit. So those are my setups for the week. Let's go ahead and pass it on to Tyson. Tyson, Aussie crosses. What are you seeing, my friend?
Yeah, Aussie crosses. Before I go to the Aussie crosses, I just want to say that, in my trading room, the Money Flow trading room, we do what's called a Money Flow scoring process each week. And this week, spot on, Gary. We are buying the pound CAD is our best trade. Pound dollar is our second best. Pound yen is our third best. We're looking to buy all of them. And excited about those. And Turning Point traders have been already started to get into those trades. So I'm with you. I think the pound is due for a nice rally. And I'm also with Chris on Swiss weakness. The only one that I'm a little concerned whether it's going to be really weak against when it comes to the Swiss is the Aussie. Because the Aussies had this massive run. And from my standpoint, it's due for a pullback. So the Aussie Swiss is one that I would either avoid on trying to buy because it's already kind of had that run, or maybe use it as a hedge to short. And if I do that, you think about this. Well, if I want to short the Aussie Swiss and I want to, let's say, buy the pounds, well, why not buy the pound Aussie potentially? But before we get to that, let's go into the Aussie dollar. Here's one of my favorite trades. I'm expecting the dollar. This is going to be one of those trades. It's a swing trade. So I expect these highs to hold in the Aussie. And again, this is more of the we've gone too far, too fast type of trade, and we're due for a pullback. That massive run that we had from mid-March into mid-April, we've got a lot of demand levels, a lot of pockets, a lot of different things that need to be filled on the downside to account for some of that price action. And so the trade that I like, I'm already in this trade. I started to get in. We've managed this in my trading room quite well. I started to get in at right around 64.50 about 2 weeks ago, locked in about 50, 60 pips on the downswing. Got it again, managed it a couple times. Started to get back in around 64 and then kind of leveled in at about 64.55. So if I were to make a decision right here, right now, this would be my trade. I don't mind the trade at this level at all, looking to sell. What I think, or what I'm really looking forward to, is this high of 66.85 to hold. That's my ultimate stop, 66.85. So it's it's a swing trade. So I'm willing basically to sell between where current price is and all the way up to 66.85. If I were really, really conservative, this is the way that I would play it if I weren't in this trade. I would say, okay, Tyson, great looking trade. However, the price action isn't necessarily showing us that the bear side is the right side yet. So how can I get into this with confirmation? One of the easiest things to do is to take today's low and say, you know what, if we break below today's low, we've kind of eaten through a lot of that demand that was sitting in there, which means it's likely to become supply. So if we break today's low at 64.12, you can look to enter short there. My target on this is 59.43. So I believe we have, pretty close to 500 pips of profit. And then the stop would be up to 66. So you're looking at about 250, 270 pips worth of risk, about 500 pips worth of profit if you shorted on a break below today's low. And again, that would be the conservative way to do it because of the fact that, again, I'm looking at today's bar. There's nothing about today's bar that says, hey, Tyson, this thing's getting really weak. But if we break below today's low, whether that be tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that right there is a clear sign that now bears are starting to step into the markets and take control.
Okay, so let me get this right. So you say you're looking at a short on Aussie US dollar, right?
Correct.
And
so here's so I'm looking to sell. And if you want to, this is kind of the clearest way to say it. I'm a seller between today's low and 66.85. Anywhere in that area, I'm a seller. And I want to sell down to 59.43.
Okay. And 59, you're looking for 59, what level?
59.43, that 382 retracement we have there.
Gotcha. All right. So, and the reason for this sell on the Aussie, is this got to, the Aussie US dollar, is it got to anything to do with the dollar index?
It's more of a whoever wanted to buy has bought type of trade. We've got to remember markets obviously move in waves, and a lot of the good news, like, oh, kumbaya, everything's great, and infrastructure is going to start to come out, and it's going to be awesome, and all this spending is going to be amazing. That's priced in a lot of these assets. And the fact that it's priced in a lot of these assets tells me we've gone too far. Again, this thing could be going back up, it could be going to the moon, but it's not going to go in straight lines. And if we think about this in a percentage basis, we're talking from mid-March to the high within, a month. This thing rallied, we're close to 15 to 20% rally in a major currency versus another major. That's a huge move, guys. It's just unsustainable. Yeah. It's just unsustainable. Just like the fact that March sell-off, the early March sell-off, was also, that's unsustainable. Like we were saying, this run that we've had is also unsustainable. So again, this thing could be absolutely going back up to 0.7, 0.75, 0.8, whatever, but it's going to have a pullback first. So I'm just looking to take advantage of the pullback that I see coming due to the fact that we have a bunch of demand levels below. We're sitting high. There's a down AB that's protecting us at that 66.85 level. Technically speaking, it's a trade that I would take every day, all day.
Okay. All right. Cool. Now, fundamentals this week. Is there anything in that is? I know the fundamentals are low this week. We've got a couple of speeches coming out this week, and there's some flash data coming out as well. Is any of the data that you're concerned about based on the positions that you're looking to take on this week?
We've got some Fed speak from the Aussie Bank, the Reserve Bank on Wednesday. Yeah, I don't see anything. I don't see anything being said right now because a lot of it's unknown. I think a lot of the good news is priced in and what is going to be happening. Now it's the market's got to prove to itself. Now we've got to prove it as an economy. So because a lot of it's priced in, I don't see any of these statements or any speeches changing the fact that we're overbought and we're due for a pullback. So I'm not really concerned with that. Our Fed, Powell speaks on Thursday. And then we have PMI coming out on Thursday also, which will have some volatility within the markets, but nothing that I'm extremely concerned with. If anything, the PMI, the Purchasing Managers Manufacturing Index, I'm expecting that to come in pretty bad, which should be actually bearish on the dollar, kind of support the whole, maybe the Fed is going to take us into negative rates. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think if the manufacturing data comes out bad on Thursday, the dollar could get beat up a little bit on that. So we'll see. There's things that we need to pay attention to. However, again, a lot of that dollar being beat up, maybe the dollar going into negative interest rates, that again might already be priced in. So technically speaking, this is more of kind of a pure technical trade rather than a fundamental trade, Gary. Yeah,
I got you. Now I'm gonna swing things around a little bit here and get all crazy on you guys. What about Bitcoin? And what do you think? I know Tyson and Chris, both of you've got some money invested. What about Bitcoin? I'm gonna flip over the chart right here, and I'm gonna show you Bitcoin, what it looks like. We're wedged up right here, and we're right at that resistance. Are we gonna break?
Yeah, so I'll give you guys my opinion on Bitcoin, and it has not changed and will not change. I think you're looking at 100-to-1 risk versus reward trade in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm a Bitcoin $1 million maximalist type of guy. I believe we are going. Bitcoin was developed and made to go to $1 million. I believe we're going to go to $1 million. I'm not coming off of that. I think it's simple supply and demand, and it's also fundamentally speaking, in the current times we're in, it's needed. And the fact that it's sustained through this and stayed viable and tradable through this whole kind of pandemic, still here, pretty stable, I think is going to bode very well when things get back to normal. People will start to say, well, wait a minute, that actually performed quite well. and it will become a safe haven, a store of value. And again, there's only 21 million that will ever be created, ever. And so because of 21 million, if we even get, so think about this, if it becomes the store of value, and I just want to say this real quick. So a store of value typically is gold. Like a lot of countries hold massive amounts of gold, but the gold is inefficient. If I hold, $3 billion worth of gold bullion, that's very, very, and I use that to try to pay another country to do whatever it might be. I pay for their bonds or whatever. That's inefficient to be able to transfer. I can't do it. I mean, I can, but it's very expensive and it's very inefficient. However, if Bitcoin was actually researched by some of these institutions, they would realize that it's also very phenomenal store of value. It's a ledger, it's immutable, cannot be changed, and also is almost nearly. When I say instantaneous, it's not necessarily instantaneous, but it's almost instantaneous transfer, and costs almost nothing to transfer. So it's a much more efficient way to store value than anything. It's more efficient than a house. It's more liquid than a house. It's more liquid than gold. And I think it's the future. It's building the case to be the future right now. And the fact that it's maintaining good performance in this, I think, is going to be a big attribute to it to be the future over the next 10 years. So again, 100 to 1 risk versus I'm risking a $10,000 or so to make $990,000.
Now, Ethereum. Ethereum seems to be climbing as well, and it's not climbing as strong as, well, or at least it's not wedged up like we had the Bitcoin, right? It's not at resistance and so on. So it looks like we still got some upside movement still left in Ethereum before it starts hitting some sort of resistance. If I look up here at the chart, this is the daily chart right here, and I'm going to take just this last while of trading, coming off that high. That's where the resistance is there. It looks like we've still got a little bit upside move, maybe 240, and this is the support that we've got here. That price moved up. So if it is going to be wedged up a little bit, there's still some upside move to around about 240 before we hit some resistance on that. The one thing I did pick up on Bitcoin is I did notice that there was a bit of divergence sitting on Bitcoin right there. Let's go back to Bitcoin here.
Real fast on that, Gary. I don't trade cryptos on anything, but it's pure speculation for me. I don't trade it on. I do some. I still do a little bit of mining. I do some alt mining too. Won't go into the details of that, but it's altcoin essentially mining. But I look at basically all the income that I get when it comes to any type of mining as a way to just continue to buy more, regardless of price. And I've got a certain amount of my assets that I put into it, and if it goes to zero, goes to zero. I'm risking 1-2% of my net worth. If it goes to where I think it's going to go, then it's well worth that risk of 1 to 2%.
Well, so you know what, Tyson?
And real fast on Ethereum, I think the altcoins like Ethereum and Tron and all these other altcoins are going to do well. It's kind of oxymoronic though, because what they're waiting for is they're waiting for regulation, which is just unbelievable. It literally makes no sense when it comes to crypto, because crypto was created to kind of circumvent regulation. But whatever, it's the world we live in, and bow down to the government. But anyway, so that's for another day too. So it's waiting for regulation. When regulation comes, I think it will clear things up, and I think that Ethereum and other coins will catch up. Because Bitcoin is trading very high. When you look at the market cap of cryptocurrencies right now, Bitcoin's at an extremely high percentage of the overall market cap. And so I think there's more upside over the course of the next 1 to 3 years in Ethereum and XRP and Tron and Cardano, different things like that, than there are in Bitcoin. But honestly, I think you could pick anything in like the top 15. I don't think you're going to make that big of a mistake. You'll make a mistake if you go beyond the top 15, but in the top 15 over the next 3 years, I think they're pretty good. They're pretty good projects.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Bitcoin goes to zero, we'll get the spare room fixed up and ready to go, so you guys have got a place to stay.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, I think we've covered up pretty much a lot today. I do appreciate you guys coming in. Chris, do you want to give us some final words as to the couple of things that I know we've taken up some of the time, and we haven't given you much of an opportunity to speak about other stuff, but Anything outside the currencies that you still want to add to?
No, I mean, to add to the crypto talk, I mean, I've been looking at the same level. I mean, 10,000, clearly we can see some heavy resistance at 10,000. I think that right now, if you go back to the swing of, I actually was going to talk about that when we first brought up Bitcoin. If you go back to the swing from really when we finally bottomed out around 3,500, let me go Bitcoin daily. Let me go to the weekly chart here. So look, I'm right there with Tyson. I mean, I love hearing Tyson's optimism on $1 million Bitcoin, because that just makes me think, yeah, that's totally worth hanging on to the trade right now. I'd be thrilled to see Bitcoin have like another kind of 2017 run, but have it break 10,000 and run to 20 plus. I think we're looking at something from the low of 2019, which is back in like January 2019, December 2018. That swing to what we're seeing right now, it's like we have a potential, low to high swing. Right now, we're on the verge of a potential bullish crown or a potential bullish head and shoulders. And so any type of pullback that finally gets that push through 10,000, I think that push is what breaks this thing to the upside. And we start looking at a really real scenario of breaking through 10 and getting to 20. And then above 20, sky's the limit. Like, I mean, and again, unless we see like the cryptocurrencies become a trader's market, and I don't think that's the case. Like, I mean, I think it's a speculation market for sure. Like a trader's market would be, we go up to 20,000 and we stop and we come all the way back down to 3, and then we go from 3 back to 20, and then all of a sudden there's notable points where the market's been responding to those structure levels. But I mean, as we saw back in 2017, I like Bitcoins to break. I'd like Bitcoin to break, cryptocurrencies to break. I love the idea that it's an alternative to the U.S. dollar and everything that's going on right now. I mean, look, we looked at the calendar. There's not a lot going on in the news, right? Except keep the market stable. Keep the markets from collapsing. Don't let March happen all over again. It's a really perplexing time because everything that's happening now is a short-term reactive solution to what is potentially unsustainable in the next couple of years or longer. So, I mean, I think that what we're seeing right now are, there aren't any consequences that are really being priced in, or there aren't any consequences of the reality of what's happening right now with $3 trillion again for the U.S. after $2 trillion, and the euro throwing another 500 billion euros at the market because Germany and France is coming in with a COVID package. So It's like everything right now is, hey, let's pacify everyone. Let's keep them happy. Let's make sure that March doesn't happen again. Central banks to the rescue, and fine, I get it. And I'm not going to short that. Like, I'm not going to go and hedge against the banks. I mean, obviously, they will control the markets and they will control the narrative. And you can see that that's why volatility is low. That's why it's very different from trading now than it was back in March. But I will be positioned accordingly. So, this week, more than anything, I'm excited about the Swiss franc. If we're focused on this session for this week, I love Euro Swiss long. I love Cad Swiss long. I hope this is a great week. That, yes, we've been waiting for a couple of months on these payouts. But if I get my, couple thousand pips, it's worth paying out. I mean, rather than me having a day trade for 20, 30 pips, I can sit on a position, be technically sound, and then 2 months later, it pays me 2,000 or 3,000 pips. That, to me, that's how I would justify being a trader. Like, I can make 2,000 or 3,000 pips. I've got to wait for it, but it's better than trying to get in and force trades and grind my 10, 20 pips. So that's where I'm at right now. We've got some good trades running. I'm excited about this week, and I think traders should be excited to be in a trader room with us and see what we can find this week.
Sure. All right, good, fantastic. Well, great. Thank you very much, Chris and Tyson. Do appreciate you guys again. And hey, listen here, just to recap again, get into the trading rooms. Get into the trading rooms. If you're not a subscriber yet of Chris, Tyson's, and mine, as well as the FX chief himself, get into the trading rooms because these discussions go into a lot more detail. We look at a lot more currency pairs, but also we go ahead and monitor the setups that we're talking about. And it's important to get involved in a community of traders so that you can discuss these type of setups and have different views of exactly why we're anticipating price to do what it needs to do. Now, another thing as well, just keep in mind that obviously every trader is different, right? Everyone has their own goals, their own way of trading, and whether you trade and grind it out every day or you trade like Chris and just set and position himself on these multiple entry points, it doesn't matter, all right? The conversation through these trading rooms are going to be vitally important for you to make those decisions as to how you want to trade it. Whether it's intraday, long-term, mid-term, it doesn't really matter. Get into the trading rooms. Hi, traders, I am going to end off on this note here. And now just lost my train of thought. All right, never mind. All right, traders. Well, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to be in the sessions on Mondays, every Monday. We do apologize for the late start today. We actually did start on time, but we didn't get the broadcast pushing through, and we managed to get that fixed up. So we're good to go. Hopefully everyone is enjoying the session. If you are, make sure that you are a subscriber to the channel, and go ahead and smash the like button right now. Go ahead and smash the like button. Share the content. Share the content to everyone you know on social media. Let them know about these sessions that we hold on a Monday. We absolutely enjoy doing these sessions, and we want to continue to do that. But your feedback is important to us, so make sure that you also go ahead and place some comments into the feedback. Comments into the video, so that we can get feedback from you and use that in our next video. All right. So with that being said, this is the FX Big Dog and the team saying have a great week and happy trading.